We got a few news stories to take a look at. We're going to talk about Battlefield right quick, because Battlefield released a video today on their YouTube channel, basically promoting, to dumb it down in the simplest way possible, what they were promoting in this video was essentially a QA position. They're hiring QA testers for the next Battlefield game. They're calling it something fancy. They're calling it Battlefield Labs. And I guess it's basically like you can sign up for a playtest for the next Battlefield game, which is the talking point for this video that they put out, because the last 10 to 15 seconds of this of the Battlefield Labs reveal was gameplay of the next upcoming Battlefield game, and it looks like they're going back to basics a little bit. Looks like a little bit of a granted, so for anyone who's curious, the only Battlefield games I've ever played have been Battlefield 4, I swear I've played other ones, so my brain stopped for a minute. Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, 5, and I did play through the campaign of Bad Company 2, because nobody plays the multiplayer for Bad Company 2, unfortunately. So I have not played Battlefield 3, which I've heard is like one of the better Battlefield games. I did not play that one. So, and whether or not people still play it, I don't know. I don't know if people still do play Battlefield 3 or not. But it looks to be that people are saying it's like the Battlefield 3 setting, but a mix of Battlefield 4's gameplay. And it's a first-person shooter. I don't know what more you could really innovate. But it looks like they're doing away with like the specialists thing that they did with 2042, which was basically like what Delta Force is what Delta Force is doing right now, where you have like specialist classes that do different things. Which, for the record, I uninstalled Delta Force recently, mainly because of one, I don't play it. I don't play it nearly as much anymore, and also, let's see if I can find the screenshot of it, because they had an update recently that I was like, I was blown away by how big of an update this was. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Delta Force had an update that was like 54 gigabytes. So that was like, oh, okay, the game itself was already a huge ass download to begin with, and you're giving me this big update? No, I'm not doing it. And also, the monetization of Delta Force is it's awful. It's really awful. Like, to put it in perspective, there's like 3 battle passes in Delta Force, which, I get it, they have to monetize their game, and Delta Force is free to play, but holy shit, there are better ways to do it. Games have shown that you can make a free-to-play game and have good monetization. Marvel Rivals has good monetization, and that's free. And you can make the debate on some games, like, yes, Path of Exile 2. Microtransactions, the skins are a little bit, they're a little bit pricey, but the thing with Path of Exile 2 is that that's a fun free-to-play, that's a really fun free-to-play game. I upgraded my version of the early access, like not even an hour in, because I was having so much fun with that game. But that's a discussion for another time. Point is, even just based on that gameplay, it looks really fun. I can't wait to see what they bring up. I may take a look at the playtests, because you could join like the official Discord server. And sign up on there. And actually, speaking of playtests and like betas and whatnot, Monster Hunter Wilds at the time of this stream is having an open beta this Friday before its release. I'll probably be playing that. I'll probably won't stream it. I'll definitely play it because I already got Shadow of War planned for Friday. And actually, another thing. I'll actually tack this on to the news. Reveal trailer dropped for Destiny 2 Heresy, or Episode 3 Heresy. The final episode, before the next expansion, which is still titled Codename Frontiers. So we still don't know what this is about, but it does appear that from this reveal trailer, Oryx is coming back. The Taken King is coming back. The Dreadnought is also coming back, which I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy. But in my mind, I'm just thinking, oh, so Bungie's just doing the Taken King again because the Taken King was like one of the best DLCs to come out for Destiny 1, so they're doing it. They're doing the Taken King again, but told differently because they need to recoup their player base because Destiny 2 has been in such a very poor state. But the reveal trailer came out. It looks like we're gonna be seeing Xivu or Wrath this time around too, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how like Xivu or Wrath, Savathun, and Oryx interact with one another in like a more official capacity, with them being actually part of the story, it seems. That does start tomorrow, which I completely forgot about, so there won't be Amalur tomorrow. As a result, I'll be doing Destiny 2 Heresy, so that's tomorrow. But onward to the next news story, we're going to talk about Treyarch's co-founder. So, obviously, this is in regards to the fires that are still going on in LA. Last I checked, I believe the Palisades fire was 100% contained. So there's some good news there. Obviously, there are still fires, rampaging through LA. So my condolences and my prayers to anyone who is still suffering from those fires. But one of the news stories that came out during like the initial, the first few days of that was that a firefighting plane had to make an emergency landing because it ended up running into a drone that some jackass was flying during that time. Which, by the way, if there's an emergency situation, like a huge ass wildfire that is going to require responders going through not only just on the ground but through the air, you shouldn't be flying a drone under any circumstances. I don't care who you are. You don't fly a drone during an emergency situation. And this person decided to do just that. And they figured out who it was, and they've pleaded guilty. But I was genuinely shocked to see who this was. I thought it was gonna be just some schmo. But no, it turns out it wasn't. The person who was flying the drone that this plane collided into turned out to be Treyarch co-founder Peter Ackman. Who, by the way, is, from what I read, he's no longer part of the company. He left back in 2008, but regardless, he has been charged. Well, let me find the... trying to find it here. Where? Yeah, so he has pleaded guilty to 1 count of unsafe operation of an unmanned aircraft. And they even go into detail about like how much damage that drone actually did to the plane. It apparently caused an approximately 3-inch by 6-inch hole in the left wing. A hole. From the images, I thought it was a dent. No, that was a fucking hole. And the repairs were somewhere just above $65,000. So Peter Ackman, fuck you. I don't know what made you think it was a good idea to fly a drone. Maybe you thought about getting some drone footage of the fires. Again, I don't care what your I don't care what your intentions were with any sort of like unmanned aircraft. You're choosing to fly that in again, in an emergency situation, especially something as big as this. I feel like the punishment should be more severe personally, but that's my own opinion. So yeah, that's that. Very disappointed in Peter. And I can't imagine Activision is all too happy about that either, given that Treyarch is obviously, they're responsible for making the Black Ops series for Call of Duty. Even though Peter's he's not a part of Treyarch anymore, that association can still hurt Treyarch in in like a marketing type of way and all the other stuff. So yeah. Peter, you're an idiot. Don't do it again. And the last thing we're going to talk about is WWE 2K25, because my chances of switching over to 2K25 for WPW have lessened just a tad. Because I guess there was a dev interview recently, and this is a quote from 2K. It says, "Due to hardware limitations presented by Gen 8 consoles and many players' PCs, we decided to focus on developing the Island experience for Gen 9 consoles, which also limits cross-gen sharing of community creations. We intend to explore the possibility of opening up the immersive world of the Island to PC players in future iterations of WWE 2K. So, to put it simply, they're basically removing the ability for console and PC users to download each other's community made content. But they word it very weirdly. But basically, Xbox and PlayStation users aren't going to be able to download community creations that are from PC players, and I'm gonna assume this also means that PC users can't download PlayStation or Xbox creations, but they word it in such a way that makes you think that it's only affecting consoles and that PC users can download console users creations. I don't know, but this really sucks. This really sucks all across the board, especially given the fact that they have allowed cross-gen creation downloading since 2K22. It's been a thing since 2K22. It was a thing. It wasn't a thing on 2K19 and prior, but when they brought back the 2K series, they obviously, they made this. It was a huge boon. It was a huge boon for like the EFED space, because this meant that people who don't have powerful PCs to run these 2K games, they can at least run it on their consoles and then download stuff for the runners of their EFED to then get their stuff. Now, obviously, that's just not a thing now that we're not going to be able to do, which really sucks, because this would, unless other people decide to help, this would essentially double my work on recreating the roster for WPW. Obviously, disregarding people who already have powerful PCs that can run 2K, this is just going to make the whole process of switching over a lot more difficult, which really sucks, because they really had something going with the announcement of intergender wrestling. And here's the thing, right? I know there's always 2K26. I can always wait till 2K26. But my main concern is that we know that 2K has a tendency to get rid of things that they add for one game. And despite the fact, and I've made this argument before, despite the fact that there are fighting games that have men and women fighting each other, the fact that 2K is meant to simulate real life and you have the men and women facing each other in these matches, part of me is worried that so many people will get upset by this, that 2K will remove intergender wrestling by 2K26. And this is why I was like super pumped for even switching to 25 in the first place, because I feel personally that intergender wrestling is too big of a feature to skip for just 1 year, because we don't know what 2K is going to do next. And again, we're just gonna have to continue to wait and see what it looks like for 2K. I'll be keeping my eyes out when March rolls around next month. So, because people are going to be getting that early access for March 7th. I thought about getting the early access. I'm probably going to wait a little bit to see, especially now since, games are expensive. No, we're going to have to, again, wait and see what happens. We do have one news story for tonight, and ladies and gentlemen, I had to break it to you guys. But turns out we were wrong. We were so wrong about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Apparently, it wasn't... Dragon Age the Veilguard didn't fail because of its drastic change in art style that makes it look like a Pixar film, changes to the designs of some of the most iconic monsters, and the fact that it goes away from the formula of what made Dragon Age. No. Apparently, according to a proud member of EA, Dragon Age the Veilguard failed because it wasn't a live service. And yeah, no, I just gotta put my hands up and say, yeah, no, I guess we were wrong. I guess we were wrong to say that the Dragon Age Veilguard probably would have succeeded if it was a live service. No, the fucking wouldn't have. Obviously, sarcasm is sarcasm. I don't know why now they're beginning to think that, like, oh, you know, because they're getting on their... Was it EA? I think it was EA that originally said, like, oh, people just don't play single-player games anymore. Which is kind of why they want to push for, like, this live service-y model. Because that was arguably the biggest issue with Veilguard, is that they started it as a live service game. That was a majority of its development time. But then they pivoted, like, halfway through development, I think, to then make it a single-player game. Which meant they gave the dev team even less time to work on the game. Because I think they had, I think it was like 2 years or something to get the game finished in the new single-player site. I don't fucking know. But point is, they had development crunch with the Veilguard, which, yeah, more or less what ended up causing that game's downfall. But it's so wild to see EA say this when we have already, within like the past few months, have seen like 5 different live service games get canned. Like, more recently, Multiversus announced that's shutting down. So that's shutting down, which kind of sucks because I heard Multiversus was actually really good when it initially released, but then they took it away and then brought it back and then added a bunch of microtransactions and made it worse. So Multiversus just got announced as getting shut down. Obviously, we've already talked to death about Concord and the failure that was. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That's getting shut down. Surprisingly enough, though, I think Skull and Bones is still alive. I think somehow that game is still, like, not shutting down, which is weird, because I don't know how many people still play that game. I would like to think it's probably around the same amount of people that play Suicide Squad. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But not only do you have, that game shutting down, a few years before that, we had the Marvel's Avengers game that shut down. And what else is there? God, what am I thinking of? Oh, yeah, we talked about a couple years ago. Oh, not a couple of years ago. Last week? Yeah, last week, Sony shut down 2 live service games that were in development. One of them was a God of War live service game, which was being made by Bluepoint, I believe. Which, again, I find it weird how you're having a game company that is known for remasters and remakes. You're having them make a live service game. Live service God of War game when they could have been making a remaster or a remake of the classic God of War games, which I've been wanting for the past year now, ever since I did my God of War playthrough series. And there was the other live service game that was being made by Bend, which now, from what I've read, it appears to have been, I guess they were working on a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO? Which, in concept, That does sound like fun. I like the idea of a Horizon MMO, because then you could pick like your starting, like, you know, your starting clan to you know, make your character from and all that. That does legitimately sound fun, but not as a live service. So, yeah, it's so weird how much they're trying to push the Horizon Zero Dawn IP when, like, because firstly, no one asked for a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. No one asked for that. No one asked for a Lego Horizon Zero Dawn game. And that game flopped super hard. I think it did worse than Concord, actually, in terms of player numbers, which is shocking. But yeah, it's just so weird. Like, they tried to make it a live service. They tried to make Veilguard a live service. They pivoted, and now they're trying to say, oh, maybe it would have succeeded as a live service. Like, I don't know about that. With the art style and what, like, the drastic change in gameplay that you were going for. Now, I don't mind action RPGs. We're playing an action RPG tonight, actually, with Kingdoms of Amalur. But when you change it from a style of game that Dragon Age has been known for the past decade, I could see why people got mad. And it's wild to think that we went from the largest release for BioWare, which was Dragon Age Inquisition, and then we went to this. We went to Anthem, which is another weird thing, right? They want to talk about how, what am I thinking of? Yeah, no, so it's wild to hear them say the whole, like, oh, it probably would have succeeded as a live service. Meanwhile, you guys had the same company, you guys had BioWare a few years prior to Veilguard's release make Anthem. You had them make Anthem, which also didn't do well. And you tried to give it the Final Fantasy XIV treatment by redoing the whole game, but then you just decided to cancel the whole thing altogether, which, by the way, I saw a video recently of someone playing Anthem in 2024. It was one of those videos. And it's so... because I've been looking for, like, other looter shooters to play other than Destiny, and Anthem had so much potential. And it kind of pisses me off that they canceled the redo on that game. I wish... Firstly, I just wish they would hand the IP off to someone else and have them do the game. Because it's clear, because obviously, and this can go into another story in and of itself, but BioWare just laid off a bunch of people. They are now less than 100 staff members at BioWare right now. BioWare is literally a skeleton of its former self. It's just wild to think that, you know, last year I played my first set of BioWare titles with the Mass Effect trilogy on stream. On stream, I should specify, because I played Dragon Age Origins years ago on my own before I started streaming. It's just... I'm scared. I'm scared to see what the new Mass Effect game is. I really... This is probably, you know, me, you know, screaming at a brick wall here, because it's probably not going to mean anything, but I really do hope they take their lesson from Veilguard and they try to make the new Mass Effect game a lot better. Hopefully it's a lot better than Andromeda. I'm speaking as someone who has not played Andromeda yet. That is a plan for a future playthrough, and I even kind of joked about it with Knight at the end of the Mass Effect 3 playthrough. Who knows? Maybe when we get closer to Mass Effect 5's release, I'll probably do a Andromeda playthrough. We'll see. I'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just BioWare just hasn't been doing well with their last, like, 3 releases. Because, yeah, you know, Andromeda didn't do well. Anthem didn't do well, and now this, and now Veilguard didn't do well. Now, because they're touting about how you know, probably would succeed if it was live service, and I'm scared to think that they're probably going to do that with Mass Effect, and that scares me. I'm scared to think of what a live service Mass Effect game could bring. Because I think if they do that and it flops, I think that will be the death of BioWare. I legitimately think we could see the death of BioWare within like the next couple of years or so, if they don't seriously change things around. Not just at BioWare, but also EA, because a lot of it is just the execs. That's really what it is. It's the higher ups that want to push for this bullshit. And it's dumb. It's really dumb. We've already been seeing stories of, as I mentioned before, countless live service games that have been getting canceled or shut down while in development. And yes, you know, when it's done right, when a live service game is done right, then you get your Helldivers 2s, then you get your Marvel Rivals, then, you know, in a sense, you do get your Destiny 2s. Like, you got success stories with the live service games. But, like I said, this is from companies that did it the right way. And, you know, I'm even going to add Darktide in there. Even though Fat Shark has kind of abandoned Warhammer 40k Darktide, and it kind of sucks that they did. Darktide is an example of a good live service game. Especially with the premium currency. I will never not be positive about the premium currency pricing in that game, because it's actually exact for what you need for a skin. Yeah. Straw Hat, that's a maybe for that one, and I'm only saying that because mainly due to the fact that physical media is basically non-existent now. So I don't know how much, and this is the most I'm going to talk on it. I don't know. I doubt the tariffs are going to do anything to the video games industry. Yes, it'll probably strike up prices of like physical media copies of games, but that may be a very low chance given how much physical media has kind of drifted away, which does suck. It does absolutely suck. That's the case, but it's something. That's just kind of my take on it. But yeah, that's basically it. EA continuing to lose the plot on what makes a good game a good game. You know, why make a good Madden game when we could just continue to do the same fucking thing and make it on the Frostbite engine still, which was an engine made for Battlefield. I still don't know what sense that makes. Why even... I don't get why they're using a battle... Have they ever explained why they use a Battlefield engine for a fucking Madden game? Is there a reason for that? Is it just because of better visuals? It'd probably be better if they made their own engine. Make a separate engine for sports games. Literally. That's like not that hard to go. Especially with people watching. Yeah. It's EA, it's obvious. Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm aware, but it's just, ugh. I hate it. It's sad to think that really the only positive thing I could say about EA right now is that the new Battlefield, even though we've literally only seen 10 to 15 seconds of gameplay of it, the new Battlefield seems promising. Obviously, we're gonna wait until more gameplay is shown. But Battlefield is at least looking a tad bit promising.